Hello fellow readers, welcome to the channel The Star is the Book. I would like to review a book about two Senegalese soldiers fighting in World War I. At night, all blood is black, by the French author David Diop. I firmly believe that this book was inspired by Goldilocks. Yep, Goldilocks. And before you start thinking, whoa, he's tripping, please indulge me with a few more minutes to explain what's the greatest interpretation of Goldilocks in cinematic history. Brad Pitt, who was a co-star to his beautiful long blonde hair in Legends of the Fall. And if you remember the film Legends of the Fall, Brad Pitt, mad with rage, he starts collecting German scalps after his younger brother is killed in action. And I believe that that's exactly where David Diop got his inspiration for this novel. Highly debatable and questionable opinion as it may be, but my opinion altogether, and I will stand by it. So, about the book's plot. Alpha and Mademba are two Senegalese soldiers fighting on the French side in World War I. They're the best of friends, until Mademba is tragically killed in action. Alpha blames himself throughout the book for failing to finish off his friend at Mademba's request, while he agonized in a crater in no man's land with his belly open by a bayonet. On page 5, and if you allow me to switch to my much more thespian British accent, God's truth, if I'd already become then what I am now, I would have slaughtered him like a sacrificial sheep, out of friendship. But I thought of my old father, of my mother, of the inner voice that commands us all, and I couldn't cut the barbed wire of his suffering. I was not humane with Mademba, my more than brother, my childhood friend. I let duty make my choice. I offered him only mistaken thoughts, thoughts commanded by duty, thoughts condoned by a respect for human law. And I was not human. He starts questioning his life's work, his moral code, his own language, until he comes across a newfound freedom that legitimizes his revenge. On page 15, when describing how it is to see with a new pair of eyes, the captain's France needs our savagery, and because we are obedient, myself and the others, we play the savage. The only difference between them and me is that I became a savage intentionally. Indeed, Alpha ritualistically reenacts Mademba's death, going over to the German trenches in full stealth mode, capturing, torturing and maiming German soldiers. He goes into the very essence of killing for sport, killing for trophies, exposing as futile alibis such as bravery, heroism, patriotism, or resistance. He obeys this new eschewed logic with zeal. On page 20, what I didn't do for my friend, I can do for my enemy, out of humanity. And really used to say that is wrong in the context of war. A person dies 1,000 deaths before probably a bullet or a bomb hits him. So who's to say that it isn't all the more merciful, all the more humane to deal out death sooner rather than later? Anyway, he transcends what he believes to be this human tendency to think in binary terms. And he forms this bond with killing, with a trait of killing, a bond that even replaces the bond he had with Mademba. The whole thing gives his fellow French soldiers the heebie-jeebies, so he sent for some R&R back at the rear. There they try some embryonic psychotherapy on him, making him draw and stuff. And to me, this is the most poignant part of the book, as he recollects his childhood and upbringing in Senegal. There's wonderful descriptions of his father and his mother. Several interesting topics up in here for debate. First off, why? Is there a why? The fact that David Diop chose Senegalese soldiers imperial colonial cannon fodder, whose daily existence could not be further apart from the European theatre of war, forces these protagonists to find an extra meaning, an extra sense to their impending sacrifice. And the sensuality of a motive, a sensuality of a reason, they indeed find, because war is the all-encompassing passional banner who is able to congregate, to aggregate several lusts around it. In an eerie part of the book, the trenches are even described equivalent to a woman's sex. Another interesting topic is how hypocrisy is laid bare with the handling of Alpha's exploits, of Alpha's deeds in the battlefield, the typical catch-22. It's fine and dandy to kill and maim, even if there's no personal substantial animosity towards the enemy, but it's absolutely anathema, absolutely taboo to seem to enjoy it, as Alpha does. So probably the only sound thing left would be to refuse to do it, to stop doing it. But that's just treacherous and coward. So the bravest of them all, the ones bold enough to say to the king that the king is naked, are ceremoniously executed. The only way to sacrifice sense and reason is if we all do it, if it is unanimous, if no voice of reason is allowed to speak. That's why it's only in hindsight that the whole thing is seen under the proper light, the light of futile and wasteful sacrifice. So Alpha ponders all these matters of masculinity, of male ego, of colonialism, of violence. A fine philosophical novel it is. So that's a wrap. Hope you kind folks enjoy. Hope to see you again for our next review. I promise I will try to bring up a much more cheerier subject on the next one. Ta-da!